Good evening, people. Welcome back to episode 2 of Pastries, Pumps and Pondering. I feel like it says the name on the tin, pretty much. If you didn't get to watch episode 1, the first episode, I'm sure it was an absolute fucking shitfest. But I actually get some really good support on it, which I was very surprised about. Very surprised about. Like, I think as of now, it's got about 80 listens on Spotify, which I was not expecting anywhere near, to be quite frank with you. Like, it's not revolutionary, but the fact that even 80 people partially listened or fully listened to me yapping on for 37 minutes, I believe it was in the end, is pretty fucking mental to me. So if you listen to the first episode and you're here from that first episode, welcome back. Repping the Driven by Drew coaching hoodie, which you can't see on my YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, then I'm just repping the merch because, as I said to a client the other day, you've got to be your biggest cheerleader in life. You know what I mean? You've got to be your biggest fan. Okay, so if no one else is going to toot your horn, you got to toot your own. Back yourself and that. Believe it or not, they've actually come with a little bit more of a structure, this sort of recording. So I've got a few topics I kind of want to touch on, but we won't go into them yet. We'll kind of just go in the basic. How am I doing? How's Drew doing on a fine Thursday evening? I'm doing stupendous. Like, the time is 23 minutes past 7. I've kind of finished work for the day. Again, as I said before, with my job, it's like never really kind of finish or clock off, which I'm sure is probably borderline unhealthy. But quite frankly, I love it. Finds me purpose-wise, matches up. Again, I was actually talking to one of my friends about this yesterday with coaching. Like, the reason why I don't mind being at like a moderate intensity of work, like pretty much all day, instead of like your traditional 9 to 5, where it's high intensity, you're in at 9 o'clock and you're out at 5 o'clock, and when you're out, you don't think about it. It's because it matches up with like my purpose. My purpose in life. Oh my God, I found my purpose. Fucking hell. It's not like I'm about to go to Thailand and find myself. No, when I'm talking about purpose, like, coaching for me is very much like a vector. Victor, I think I did that last time. But, like, helps me support the fact that I want to help people. I want to make people realise that they can do more than they think they can do. And you should just fucking back yourself. And that's kind of like my purpose in life, is like helping people develop themselves personally. Like, that really means a lot to me. So yeah, that first episode doing well. Like, again, I got so much good feedback. I don't think I got any hate, which is the first time ever when posting anything out on social media. I haven't got any hate, which I was like, yo, that's pretty sick. But that's just social media for you. I feel like the 80 people who listened would have known me personally in some way. So the first question obviously is, how am I? How am I doing? I'm good. I'm currently wearing a pair. Sorry, I just burped then. Because I've got Tango Mango here. As always, sugar-free, you know, the goat drink. I'm great. I've got on my feet a pair of Vivo Barefoots. I know, I'm one of them fucking nerds. Don't know if I can show the camera. There you go. Look at that flexibility. For those audio listeners, I've just shoved my face, or my foot, in the camera's face. But I like these weird barefoot shoes. And I got them this week. And it's really odd, because I'm usually like a size 8 or a size 9. Okay, and these are a size 6 because they fit like really big. Now, there's a level of like ego hitting there where I'm like, I'm not a size 6. I'm a man. I'm like a fucking size 9. It's a little bit like men and weight. I feel like I've been heavy in the past, but I think it's one of those variables which is quite interesting talking to men about, is like, there's a lot of ego behind stuff like weight and shoe size and all that jazz. Like, I don't take pleasure in saying I'm wearing a size 6 shoe. Now, yes, they do fit big, and that may be the ego saying that. But most shoes I'm like 8 or 9. Same way when I was in prep, I was like 68 kilos. And I was like, I don't really want to say I'm 68 kilos. Yeah, I was like fat free. But I was still 68 kilos as such. But anyway, I got these this week, and they're fucking awesome. Yeah, effectively, the ideology behind them is they don't have any sort of cushion to them, so they almost feel like wetsuit shoes, if you've ever wore wetsuit shoes, or like high school pumps, which you'd use for PE, in the sense they're zero drop and they're they've got minimal soul and they're meant to represent what it feels like to walk barefoot. And they very much do. I would say they do. But I got them this week. That was a little dopamine hit, which I got, and it's something I wanted for a while. And it's something I've been really trying to focus on a little bit in the recent 6 months. Is like, when I want something, I will get it, because it's like, at the end of the day, I work really hard. Like, as long as it's within the regions of affording it. But yeah, so this week, I've had a very good week. I mean, I've changed a few little coaching systems, which has helped with structuring my work week a little bit better and delivering a better service, which obviously I'm always trying to do. Another shameless fucking plug. But apart from that, I'm actually the best I've been in a long time. A long time. Again, like, this podcast is for me being authentic and honest and really trying to connect with the viewers. Yeah, you listening or watching. That's what I'm talking about. And to be quite frankly, if I'm going to do that, I've got to be fucking honest. The first, I'd say 6 or 7 months of this year have been a bit of a shit show within my personal life. Coaching life, sick. Gym life, sick. But lots of variables within my kind of personal life, which have been a bit of a shit show. And again, I'm not going to go into details because that's not relevant to any of you. But it finally feels like I'm kind of a little bit on the up again. Like I said that to a mate yesterday, I was like, shit's starting to fall back into place. And it's like, it's really interesting as well, because this kind of correlates. At the moment, I'm reading a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And it's a fiction. I'm not really a fiction man, but I'm reading it as and when I'm enjoying it. And I was reading it the other day, and something kind of came to mind whilst I was reading it, because I read a particular point of the book, and it's rather the start because I'm a slow dyslexic reader. But it was talking about this Spanish man who is effectively travelling through Spain, and he was sleeping in a church with his sheep, and he was using his jumper as a pillow. Okay, just him, a man, his sheep, and his hoodie as a pillow. And it was scorching outside. And there was a line which said something along the lines of, as much as he was annoyed about the weight of his sweater and having to carry it when he didn't need it, he didn't complain because he knew it would come in use when it turned really cold. And this could be me just looking into it and being really introspective, but I thought that was a really fucking cool kind of representation. And I kind of compare that a little bit to my personal life. Like, again, I would say myself as a person, I have lots of cool little skills. And especially, I feel like I'm quite good at bearing through hard times. Doesn't make them any easier, but what makes me a good bodybuilder is I have a good set of coping strategies to get through hard times. I've built support networks. And again, even like that, for example, support networks is my version of the Spanish lad's jumper. It is like, yeah, my support networks are fucking great, aka family and friends, partner, Case, again, big up the fucking Case. She loved it last time when I said her in the podcast. But support networks like that, and whilst, again, like I said, hopefully this next period of a few months is going to be fucking awesome in my life, especially in my personal life, like I said, and I may not need to lean on them as much because shit isn't hitting the fan. But again, it's like that sweater. I don't need them, but I don't fuck them off, or I don't be like, yeah, I don't need to exercise that or water that friendship or relationship, because there'll be a time where they need me or I need them, and it takes two to tango. Like, again, friendship's a two-way thing. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, again, don't complain about carrying a sweater when it's hot, because quite frankly, there's going to be a point where it's freezing cold and you're going to need that sweater. It kind of replicates into friendships and relationships. Like, you may not need the support of your partner, your family, or your friends right now, but they might need yours. That's also something to take into account. But there'll be a time you also do need them. So yeah, wow, that was a bit of a fucking tangent. But that's something, again, I want to be all really authentic in this podcast. And to be quite frank, about 6 weeks ago, I'd probably say I was at, I wouldn't say rock bottom, but I would say not fucking far off in terms of some stuff in my personal life. And I was just like, wow, this has been a lot, mate. It's been a lot. But again, like I thoroughly am a believer that hard times construct you, and you learn who you really are in those hard times. And if you prove to yourself you can get through those hard times, you I think it's an Alex Hormozy quote as well, but it fucking speaks facts of, if you can get yourself through hard times, that is evidence for the fact that you can get through hard times, and that fuels self-confidence. So yeah, a little bit of fucking, I don't even know what that was, stoicism or just ranting or off the top of my head. Believe it or not, I have not got a script or anything here. This is kind of just off the top of the fucking mind. And again, I'm stuttering half the time, so you could probably really appreciate this is like off the cuff. But yeah, like I've got a really good few months ahead in my personal life. Like I've got some trips booked. I'm going to a wedding next week. I'm going to go see a client later in September from America who's flying over to Dublin, and he's doing some Europe tripping, but I'm going to go see him in Dublin. Me and Case are going away at the start of October. I'm going to get some plans in before prep starts next year, because quite frankly I want to be looking at moving out on my parents towards the back end of the year or start of 2026. And again, what's the plan is for myself is once I usually move out, I don't plan to move back in. So there's never going to be a time where I don't have that financial expenditure. So I'm like, fuck it. Over and from now to like December, January, like I'm going to book some random spontaneous trips across Europe and shit like that, because I really enjoyed that and I like seeing cultures. And my work is fucking awesome with that because it facilitates that. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not hard. I have to stay up till 1 a.m. doing check-ins, but what a problem to fucking have. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's me. That's my personal life. Casually oversharing as usual, but no shame because, again, trying to be #authentic. So I've got a little bit of a list here, like I said, and there's a few things I wanted to kind of go into. First one is going to be the topic, because it's this time of year where we are hitting university, going into university. And I'm someone who's done university, and I have quite frankly gone through it. I've had the expectation, I've lived it, did it for 3 years, and I now reflect on it. And especially with this time of year being heavily people getting ready for uni, back end of August, start of September, like, I kind of wanted to give my opinions on pre, during, and post university in that sense, of what I think about it, and what my lessons and what I learned from it, and what my opinion is on it just in general now. So I went to Leeds Beckett University. I went there for 3 years. I took a gap year beforehand because, quite frankly, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go to uni. And it was COVID at the same time, and I know that I wouldn't have been able to actually like go to any lectures or anything like that. And quite frankly, for me, uni was a directional choice. Like, I was never like thriving about sports and exercise science, which is what I did. Like, I really like sport, but again, it kind of just didn't align with the type of sport I like, aka bodybuilding and stuff like that. So it was more like rugby, football, what else was it? Like netball, running, etc. Which is a little bit more too team sporty for my liking compared to men in thongs and shit like that, which is what I do. But I took a gap year, which I didn't travel. I just saved up my money basically, and spent it all on accommodation because fuck me, price of living and that. So I dropped about $2,000, maybe even more on accommodation, on top of my student loan. So my gap year money went straight into accommodation. I didn't really see any of that. And that gap year was hella depressing because it was COVID, like, and that's just how shit works. You know what I mean? That's how the system works. So I went to Leeds Beckett University. And what was my pre-expectations? So I went to uni with the thought in mind that I was going to play rugby because I enjoyed rugby, and that was very much like a sports direction for me as of such. Means B, I did then get concussed twice quite heavily, and a few micro concussions on top of that, which kind of changed my decision. I had to kind of grow up quite quick and make an adult decision of whether it was actually smart in the long run for me to actually play rugby or not. Like, I didn't love it. Simply, I didn't love it, and I knew the university culture was very much like a lads situation, and as I was going into university, that really wasn't me. It really wasn't me. I was coming out of my party phase going into university, which is a crazy statement to say. Like, I kind of did my binge drinking alcohol before that, in which I'll get into a topic in a minute. Because next topic, I know, a bit of alcohol, crazy. But I went into university. I did like the typical freshers stuff. Also, by the way, freshers is a business tactic. I hope you know. Don't ever feel obliged to go to freshers. Don't feel obliged to go to freshers for 2 weeks straight. Like, it's one of those things. I definitely recommend doing it because, again, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like you'd regret it or resent me if you didn't. But like, it's nothing special. Like, in my opinion. Like, I spent about 700 quid on Mackies and freshers, which was crazy. And when I look back at it now, I do think, oh, okay, it's just a clear business tactic just to rake in some freshly imported student loan. So yeah, quite frankly, first year uni, obviously it doesn't really count. I think that's a bit of a scam as well. Freshers and first year university are a bit of a scam. Like, it's kind of just like a tick box. You just needed to pass it. You didn't need to get a certain grade or something like that. I've done exactly what I did last time I filmed this podcast. I've come to the exact same car park, and it's starting to go a little bit dark. So I'm going to turn my thingy on and see whether I can turn my lights on. There we go, for the people watching visually. So yeah, like, first year university was really interesting, and again, purpose-wise, like, it got me out of my comfort zone, which is actually a really big positive. And again, I'm not trying to shit on university at all, because there's so many positives I took from it and so many negatives I took from it. Oh, nope. Noah Khan's just come on. Stop it, Noah. Actually, not even Noah Khan, it's Bren. I just turned my ignition on and it's, yeah. Well, that was smooth. Please don't copyright me, Spotify, please. So yeah, like, first year was a bit of a weird one, because it was like, okay, I've gone to uni, like, there isn't too much weight on actual academic practice here, and I'm kind of just like learning to live in a city. Like, it was mainly the change from a little small town in Cheshire compared to a city, and it made me quite a lot aware of how, like, much of a little bubble the little town I live in, Cheshire, is compared to a bit more of a rough scene like Leeds as such. During university, I changed a fucking lot, man. I changed a lot. Like, from first year university, I like, put it this way, I went into university as very much like an insecure 17, 18-year-old lad who would very much drink, and my party drink was to drink a lot, because I was insecure. Straight fucking up. And it gave me liquid confidence, as it does most 17 or 18-year-olds. I'm not shitting on my previous self. But, like, I often look back at that lad, and I'm very different nowadays. Like, I don't drink as such. Like, it's not like I don't drink because I didn't have a problem or anything, but I just don't feel the need to, because for me back then, drinking was to provide me with liquid confidence. However, I don't feel the need for confidence because I feel like I'm fairly confident when I'm sober. But more than anything, I don't like the taste. So what would I be drinking for except for conforming to social norms? I ask that question a lot. But like, when I entered university, I was loud again, was a big drinker, and like, I kind of just conformed to every social norm there was. And then I started to change throughout uni. Like, it kind of hit 2023, where I was like midway through second year uni, and stuff started to ramp up a little bit more. And I then had to kind of go into I didn't have to go into a bodybuilding prep, but I wanted to go into a bodybuilding prep. I got to. Optimism. And effectively what that meant was I went into this bodybuilding prep, and I really started to appreciate the smaller things, like family, friends, simple steps with a coffee. Like, it's why I love coffee so much. That ingrained it in me. And unfortunately, like, I did distance myself a lot from a lot of people who were in that party scene. And like, again, it's not that I didn't like them, or it's just a little bit of we have different hobbies, or we had different hobbies then, in which then led me into third year when I finished prep, and I was very much like, okay, I'm just going to lock in on uni here because I'm not really going out drinking. I just like gym, and I want to pursue this business thing which I've made by accident, which is my coaching service. Again, link in bio. And I was like, I would rather do that. I was like, that was at the trajectory of my priority list. So yeah, during uni, like, my perspective on a lot of stuff changed. Like, again, the party culture scene, like, I was very much invested in that when I went. And then when I got to the end, I just didn't feel like it served me any purpose. And again, I'd like to really emphasize that this isn't me shitting on anybody who drinks or goes out or party culture, etc. It's just simply not for me. Okay, and I think it's really mature to be able to accept that people have different lives and different priorities at different times in their life. Because trust me, there's a video out there of me chugging pints of vodka. Yeah. Yeah. If you've met me in the last 2 years, you're probably thinking that's crazy, that's out there. Because again, I was a very different person. Now, post-university, came out with a 2-1. Fuming because I got 69% and first was a 70%. But yeah, post-university, I look at it now and I kind of look at it from a review standpoint, and I go, okay, like, there was a pros and there was a cons of uni. The pros for me of uni was it really got me out my comfort zone, like, and it got me out my little town, which gave me a little bit more of a wider knowledge of other cultures, other counties within UK. Again, where I live in Cheshire, it's a little bubble that's quite safe. It's understanding that places aren't safe. It helped with my people skills. And from the actual university course standpoint of things, I've got a degree now. I don't know if I'll ever use it. Sometimes I do think, like I said last episode, I'll maybe do a master's in 5, 6, 7 years time if I need to, if I want to, and that's something which I can possibly do. And yeah, that helped me also learn academic kind of skills, like reading papers and understanding, like, I don't use it now, but like how to reference or skills like that, where I know how to interpret findings and where to find papers and literature, which helps with my job, obviously. So that helped me in that sense. And also the accidental thing of what I do for work was a complete mere coincidence that somebody asked me to do a training program in first year uni, and that led to the kind of progression of Driven by Drew online coaching, which, again, complete fucking positive. The reason why I'm probably sat here doing a podcast right now is because of that. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Negatives from university. Obviously, I'm in a bit of debt. I'm in a little bit of financial debt in the long run, which I don't have to pay off at once, obviously, but I am starting to pay it back off year by year. It's not all in one big chunk. I'm trying to think of any other really negatives. I don't need my degree. It's not an essential. So it's an expensive degree to kind of say it wasn't essential for what I do now. But it's not a correlation. It wasn't a causation of my job. It was a correlation. Like, the fact I got a degree didn't cause me to do this job, but it fucking pushed me in the right direction, pushed me in a situation where I did it. Which I think is really, really interesting, really cool. But again, apart from that, like, I wouldn't really say there was any negatives. Like, yeah, I'm in student loan, a bit of debt, but like, that will get paid off. I mean, again, like, I don't use my degree, but I learned so much from a sense of social skills, learning how to agree with people, learning how to disagree with people, because that happens, believe it or not. And you have to do that when you get into your 20s. And learning how to communicate with people who don't speak, again, in the same sort of manner as you do, or from different backgrounds. And I think uni for me was a net fucking positive, okay? Like, again, for the reasons why uni is meant to be a net positive, I don't think it was. But for the reasons it provided to me of I wouldn't be where I am now, and I'm happy with where I am now. So I'll take that. And I think that's definitely something to take into account. But there is other topic or two which combine into this topic as such, which I kind of want to touch on as well, because I feel like, again, it's relevant to a lot of people, and not just the people going into university. So, alcohol. Yeah, we're going to go into that. Sorry, I'm looking at my checklist currently. So, I've got a bit of slow processing. Like alcohol and party culture as such. Like, what do I think of it? What are my opinions on it? Again, like with alcohol, I very much used it as a tool to be confident when I was younger. A tool to add a bit of spark to Drew Wolfenden. In which nowadays I don't need it, and I don't have anything wrong with alcohol. I really don't. Like, I think some people, when they hear I don't drink, or some people label me as I don't drink, it's not that I don't drink. I'll have a drink if I kind of want to drink, because I think I'd be putting myself in a little bit of a trap if I was just to label myself, and it becomes a little bit of a game with myself. But really simple, I don't drink because I don't like the taste and I don't like the way it makes me feel, and it doesn't serve me. However, saying that, I do like a few select beverages in which every now and again I will drink them, even though for me now getting drunk is actually, I'd probably say, a little bit of a negative, because I don't like the feeling. It makes me feel shit, it fucks up my stomach, and I don't like it. But there's a few drinks at which that the kind of overall consensus there is it tastes so good that I can understand those, and I'll just still drink it anyway. So I like a limoncello, people. I like a little limoncello. It's short, it's sweet, a little bit of grenadine in there. It's almost like the alcoholic version of an espresso. I know. I've kind of made that a thing. But I really like espresso, and I like limoncello. I've tried whiskey. Again, like, I'm happy to try alcohols. I really am. For the taste, though, for me, it's like, I look at a J2O, a lime and lemonade, and a Diet Coke, and a cocktail, all in the same fashion. Because for me, the alcohol content doesn't matter, and if anything, alcohol is a little bit of a net negative in the situation. I just look at it in terms of taste ratings. So I look at something like a cocktail, which is like £12-13, and I go, for me, that's just a really expensive Diet Coke. But if I prefer the taste of a Diet Coke, I'm going to have a Diet Coke. And yeah, I think that's really interesting. And kind of going into party culture with that, because obviously alcohol and party culture is very tied in. Like, again, I don't think party culture really serves me any purpose as such anymore. Like, again, like, I think with party culture, it's got a very big stigma. Like, there's different people who party culture for different reasons. Some people do it for attention and obviously, like, short-term intimacy, I would say the words is, or drug usage, or etc. And neither of them kind of appeal to me, or ever have appealed to me. So it's one of those things, when I went out for partying, like first year uni a lot of it was to be social. And I've got nothing wrong with that. And again, if you're listening and you like partying, this is not me shitting on it. It's just me expressing my thoughts on partying for myself as a hobby. I like an early bedtime. I like a nice little Sunday morning where I go have a coffee. I like a Saturday morning where I now wake up and clean my car. I enjoy that with a little podcast on, and I feel fresh, and I feel like, yeah, it's going to be a great Saturday. But for me, party culture kind of inhibited that. And quite frankly, there are people out there which really enjoy party culture for party culture, in which I think is fucking awesome. It's like the same way I enjoy coffee culture, or I enjoy gym culture, because that's what I enjoy. And it's simply just for the love of the game of party culture, or coffee culture, or again, gym culture. But it's not for a plaster for other external, like, things as such, in which I think party culture can be. And so can gym culture, and so can coffee culture. Like, you know, when it's a rough time, I'll slam a few double espressos. But I definitely think it's an interesting conversation, because, like, it's not like I've never not been to a club. I've been to loads of clubs. I just don't like techno music, and I don't like D&B really. Like, I don't really like house. Like, I revise and I educate myself to house. Like, I can't sit in a club with a Diet Coke throwing imaginary hand signals. Like, I just get too bored. And that's what happened throughout university. I kind of was just like, yeah, I'm just not going to go to this. Like, I've kind of switched to a little bit more of, like, I want to say, like, wholesome nature stuff. That's the way I see it. Again, it might not be wholesome for other people. Wholesome people might be a Friday night in a club. Fair play. It's not my taste, my man. But as such, I kind of look at, okay. And again, this is because I was brought up in a family which was very much like, we did a lot of board games. I love a little board game night. I love a little board game night, a little poker night, a little Monopoly night. I love Monopoly. I was saying to my mate today how much I love Monopoly. I hate it because it's such a stupid game, but it's also a cool game. And it was like, okay, like that's what I enjoy. And I enjoy the vibe of that, of being in the comfort of a house or somebody else's house and doing that. And I think it's awesome. And that's just kind of like my taste at the moment. Again, I'm not saying it will never change. I'd be so ignorant to think that I've changed in the last 4 years. What makes me think I'm not going to change in the next 4 going forward? But yeah, like that's kind of like my opinion on party culture and alcohol and stuff. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to offend anyone. Like, it just doesn't serve me anymore. And I think, again, there's people who do it for genuine reasons, and I think there's people who do it for, again, kind of like a plaster, for like, fuck's sake, my work life or my relationship life or my family life is shit. The only thing which is going well is getting attention in a club, and I'm going to go get fucking hammered and use alcohol as kind of like a plaster for the situation, or even drugs as a plaster for the situation, in which, again, like, it's not for me. And that's not the way I deal with things. And personally, giving myself a little bit of an opinion here, fucking hell, I think there's better ways to go about dealing with relationships and friendships and problems within your career and work life than kind of blowing out on the weekend and then hating your job in the week or hating your relationship in the week. Like, I think there's a deep hole we can go down there, which is for another episode to talk about relationships and intra-relationship stuff and like my opinions on them and whatever, but that's another episode. Other things I've got on the topic list for today, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little rant, because yeah, as a 23-year-old, again, it definitely stuff which goes through my head. This is going to be my last topic, but it's something which I think is really cool. This is something I've been really focusing on a little bit recently. So, like, as someone who, first of all, I'm currently getting assessed for, you know what, I'm going to pause 1 second. I've got this Tango Mango, and every time I neglect it till about half an hour in. Respectable. Love a little Tango Mango. So, at the moment, I'm getting currently assessed for ADHD. My mum's just been diagnosed. And it's something I've definitely thought about for a while, because my head races, man. My head races between topic to topic to topic to topic, and sometimes I have this never-ending to-do list in my head, and I struggle to switch off, and I can't sit still. Like, for fuck's sake, I've got a golf ball here I've been playing with whilst I've been, like, fucking holding the mic in my other hand. And obviously with that comes dopamine dysfunction. Like, if you don't know, basically, ADHD is a attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADD, the other way around. But it's basically a dopamine dysfunction. So your body struggles to produce and regulate dopamine, which is a hormone your body produces for, like, reward systems. So again, you do a task, you complete a to-do list, you get a dopamine hit. In caveman days, it would be like, you killed the animal, you get a big dopamine hit. And I found myself a little bit more susceptible. And again, I'm not self-diagnosing because I haven't even been diagnosed yet. But, like, I found myself basically a little bit addicted to my phone. And this is something I didn't like. I really didn't like. Like, my job consists of me being on my phone for minimum 5 hours, 6 hours a day anyway. Like, a lot of the time. And there's some blurry lines for me of, like, what is work. Like, because technically me being on Instagram, like posting stories and stuff is work. Me being at the gym is work. Because obviously I need to show that I can walk the walk effectively. But I found myself sometimes, honestly, and again, being very vulnerable on this podcast, I found myself just fucking doom scrolling. And again, it happens to the best of us. I found myself hitting the little TikTok app, opening it, hitting a little scroll, and then closing it and opening it straight again. I was like, fucking hell, I need to do something about this. And I read a article, I believe it was called a Substack, and it was a girl who was speaking about post-university, and she was also talking about her phone, and she said a line which really sat with me as such, and actually kind of pushed me to make this podcast, because this is something I really deem as beneficial for myself, actually, probably more than you guys. Like, me sit here kind of exercising my thoughts and kind of being a little bit of an echo chamber with a little bit more of a structure now. Like, how do I put it? She said the line, and this really hit me a little bit. Like, I haven't heard myself think in a while. And I heard that and I was like, holy shit, I haven't. Like, I wake up and I'm straight on my phone, whether it's a little TikTok doom scroll, a little Instagram, like texting people, checking emails, fucking Facebook Marketplace, shit like that. And I was like, okay, straight on that. And like, whenever I was driving anywhere, whenever I was in the gym, whenever I was doing anything, it would like have a podcast on. And again, like I say that so counterintuitively because I'm making a podcast right now, and I think podcasts are some of the best forms of consumerism. I think they provide a lot of value, and I've gained so much value from listening to podcasts so much. But I just want to bring it down a little bit in terms of consumerism, and I wanted to hear myself thinking again for a little bit. So there's a few things I kind of put into place for myself, and again, it's only been a few little slight tweaks to my daily routine. I'm still not perfect. Let me just kind of reinforce that. But there's definitely been some improvements, and I've heard myself think a little bit more, and I've thought more creatively. And even doing this helps me think a little bit more creatively. So I'll tell you guys some things I've been doing, and hopefully you can apply them to your own life and see whether it's something you're willing to do, or it could help you. Again, the reason why I made this podcast is to exercise my thoughts and provide value. So here be it. Also, apologies, video viewers. I know it's getting a little bit dark again. It's 8 minutes, and it's starting to get dark now. Seasonal depression is kicking in, and I've got my lights on as well. Maybe if I turn the back seat lights on as well, that might help a little bit. No, that just creates a little bit of an overcast. What the fuck? You know what? I'm gonna put my torch on my phone. That should help a little bit. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that helps a little bit. Audio listeners are like, what the fuck's going on? So, first little change I made is I make my coffee in the morning and I go for a walk around the block. Now, that can be by myself. That can be with my dad, my mum, or even a friend. But like, before I used to do this, I'd bring my phone and I wouldn't be fully present as such. One thing I've started doing is I have been leaving my phone in the house for a good 15 or 20 or 25 minutes and just going for a walk and really letting myself tinker and think a little bit. And whether that's with my mum or my dad, like I said, I can have some really meaningful or even just like non-meaningful conversation, just some basic human interaction. It's one of those things which I think is a really good little change. Like, and yes, do I walk around my block in the morning like a little old man with my flat white flask, which I've just delicately made latte art into? Yeah. And is that a little bit sad? Potentially. But it allows my brain to have a little think and wake myself up and actually think for myself about what I want my day to look like and what the weather's like and like weird shit like that. And like, it allows me just to appreciate little things a little bit more. And I think that's a great way to kind of start your day. I don't think that's a bad way at all. It's an ideal start to my day is a little bit of coffee and a little bit of thought. So that's one thing I've been doing. I've been listening to less podcasts a little bit more, in the sense of, like, when I listen to a podcast, I'm a bit more selective with it. Like, before I had, like, some regurgitating ones, which, quite frankly, were just a little bit of brain rot, and I do still listen to them, and that's not a bad thing, I don't think. Like, some of them, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to slander them. I actually really enjoyed the podcast, but, like, I just realised it was just noise for me, and it was me blocking out myself thinking. And I've done it, like, it's one of those things where I think it's good in moderation. And again, I think when I listen to something now, it's really thought-provoking, and it's something I'll be a little bit more selective with. But also, if I don't have a podcast on, I'll try and do one or two things. I'll try to drive in silence, or drive with the radio on. I know, crazy. Who brought me back to fucking 2010? But I'll stick a little bit of the radio on, and I think just taking a little bit of that selection out of it, of like having the radio on or having no music on or no podcast on, just allows my brain to think a little bit. Again, it's a little bit mindful, like a bit like a mindfulness practice. And I thought that was a really good idea, and that's something I've been doing a little bit more. The other thing I've been doing, and this is something I was doing before, again, is oftentimes when I struggle to sleep at night, if my head's racing a little bit with thoughts, again, I don't know whether that's an ADHD thing or not, or whether I'm just a hyperactive person anyway. Like, a lot of the time, I say hesitantly because being vulnerable, when my head's racing and stuff in my personal life can be a little bit shit, I listen to podcasts when I go to sleep. Sometimes it's just because my head's really busy. Sometimes my personal life's fine. And I find that helps in terms of distract my brain and just kind of follow a story with a podcast. But I've been trying a little bit more to listen just to nothing or white noise, one of the two. And that's helped again. It's like having a conversation with yourself before you go to bed. That's which is quite a weird thing to say again. But I think it's also a cool thing. One thing I want to try and do is eat to podcasts. Like, instead of eat to watching something. I'm a proper little iPad kid at heart. And that's something I've noticed. And that's something which, again, I haven't done yet. Again, being #vulnerable. But yeah, those are just a few things which I've done. And they're very small changes. And even stuff like in the gym as well. Like, in the gym, I will try to not listen to something up until like my top set in the gym. If you know what that is, it's like your heaviest set as such, or your first working set. And that's something which I was like, like I found that had made significant changes to when I actually put music in it. I then actually stimulated a really emotional response from it. So for like a top set, if I've got like a good bit of music on, I did find that helped. But yeah, those are just a few things I've done to hear myself think a little bit more. And I don't want to use kind of the term reset my dopamine, but like kind of just enjoy being a little bit bored. I think there's some really good ideas which kind of collect in that boredness. And you can think a little bit about life share. And there's also times where sometimes I'm like, you know what, today I don't want to think about life. I'm going to stick a shitty podcast on. I'm going to watch a shitty YouTube video. Like, you know, one of the proper brainwashed ones where it's like $1 versus 1,000 something. And that's fine. Like, again, I'm not aiming for a perfect life. I'm just aiming for like a little bit of a better one. You know what I mean? My life's awesome. I fucking love it. And again, I think doing that has actually allowed me to appreciate the finer things a little bit more. But that's something for another episode, I believe. Perfectionism and the things which mean a lot to me and things I've learned. So, yeah, people. We are 43 minutes in and I've been yapping for a hot second. It's going a little bit darker by the second, so the video people are going to be angry. But I'm going to leave it there. But a good little, just shy of 45-minute yap. Again, I'm sorry if I've offended anyone by opinions I've said, but these are just kind of like my opinions. And I'm allowed to have opinions, I believe. I say that quite timidly. But yeah, thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed another little yap about stuff. I'm going to start doing a Q&A episode every 3 episodes, I've decided. So every 3rd episode we'll have a Q&A section in which I'll answer a few people's questions, which may be situations if people are open to that. And again, I can comment on the situations of what I would do. It could be opinions, it could be topics, it could be fucking dilemmas, it could be anything. Okay? But follow me on Instagram, Drew Wolfenden. I'm going to put a question box up on there. And effectively, I'll go through that in the next podcast. And we'll have another little topic and a Q&A again, but it mainly will be a Q&A next episode. Because there's only so many topics a man can go through. And I also value all of your input because I've been knowing you guys are listening and I want to provide value. So yeah, I love you all. Thank you very much for listening. We are 44 minutes in. So I believe that's actually 7 minutes longer than the last one, which is pretty cool. Another episode done. I do apologise again if I've been stumbling a little bit. I'm not fluent at this yet, but the fact I managed to get 44 minutes in, I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I love you, leave you all. Code Drew at Full Bore Sports if you're looking for any subs as usual. Code Drew10. I believe Hardbody's actually got a sale on at the moment. Code Drew10 at Hardbody if you're looking at any equipment for the gym, cuffs, straps, lifting straps, belts, you name it, they've got it. Sleeves and all that jazz. All my other socials will be in the bio. Instagram mainly though, Drew Wolfenden. And yeah, hopefully you took some value from this episode. So lots of love. and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Have a great day. Win it. Let's fucking go.